Go for it.
I think I'm recording right now. I'm not sure though.
Cool. Thanks, Quill. It doesn't need to be Loom. Anything you want, we can always post-process it. Friggin' QuickTime if you want. Or open your... So if somebody wants to take their iPhone and open up the recording app, just maybe do that. All right,
Okay,
Andrew, to you.
I'll just briefly talk because I want to get into like the meat of this stuff, and I think Tim Schill, it's hard to follow you because you hit everything. But I'm super excited to be here. I'm super excited that we've got 30 people on this call, and I'm excited to get into a few of the other projects today, and hopefully get some discussion and some question and answer going. I think as a community, these sort of calls will be super important going forward. As the writer of the newsletter, my goal these past couple months is just sort of to provide like a heartbeat for the Loop community, and keep a consistent sort of heartbeat, drumbeat, within the community and out in the world, via Twitter, of kind of what's going on with Loot, what's going on in the community. And I think adding this call to that cadence will be really important going forward, and kind of surfacing ideas, surfacing projects, and hopefully like bringing more people in and getting more people involved. I think that's kind of my end goal, and should be the end goal with all of this. So with that said, I think we're going to start with Realms.
Yeah, I think let's do it. Let's dive right in, right into the heart of it. I'm really excited about what Lord has been building.
Hello. Yeah, all right. Well, I think I see a few members here from the Realms Discord, but there's a lot of new faces. So maybe I'll just start from the top and explain what Realms are, and then I'll dive into a quick... Oh, can I do a screen share? Oh, I can do a screen share. Okay, great. So those that aren't familiar with Realms, after the call, I definitely suggest you go and read our Medium articles, because there's a lot to cover, and it's a lot to cover. But basically, what we're doing with Realms are 8,000 maps. There's 22 resources spread across all the realms. The resources are in varying rarity, and they're currently being traded. There's like 2,000 holders right now. We got 1,000 people in the Discord, and for the last 2 months, we've been designing a game that will allow you to take your realm and settle it on Arbitrum. So we're going to be doing everything on layer 2. So you'll be able to settle your realm on Arbitrum, and the resources that are on your realm, so you might have 1 resource, you might have 5 resources, these will start getting generated as 1155 tokens. And those who aren't familiar with 1155 tokens, they're a cheaper gas cheaper gas variant of the ERC 20 tokens. So you'll be able to generate these resources, and then you'll be able to build up your realm with buildings. You'll be able to build an army, and then you'll be able to raid other realms and steal their resources. And then with these resources, you can go to the marketplace and trade them for any other resource, or you'll be able to trade them back for a Lord's token, which then you'll be able to trade on Uniswap back for ETH if you like. I'll just dive straight into the demo. Hang on, I need to take myself a push to talk because I have to hold down T. Can anyone give me his access to talk?
I'm looking at some settings here to try to figure it out.
Yeah. If I have to hold down T the whole time, I'm not going to have to do stuff.
Or what I did was I went into my preferences in voice and video, and I just toggled back to voice activity.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, cool. All right, done. All right, I'm not going to go into the absolute, tiny details of this because, you know, we want to hear what everybody else is doing. So, but hang on, let me share my screen. So, just a explanation. Everything we're doing here is open source, and we've had a bunch of new community members pop up in the last couple of weeks that have started to do PRs to the project itself. So if anyone's a builder, developer, drop into the Discord, and you know, if you want to see a feature, just do it. Okay, are we live? All right.
Success. We can see you.
Okay, so just bear in mind, this is all alpha, where, you know, the last 2 months we've really just been head down building the framework that will allow us to build this game all on chain. And so there's been some challenges, and there's a lot of optimizations to do, and you know, this is just alpha, and so yeah, bear that in mind. So basically, what we've done is we've actually created an Arbitrum bridge. So, well, just first step, yeah. So first step is to get your realm onto Arbitrum. So we've created this ERC 721 bridge where you can bridge your layer 1 realms onto layer 2. And I'm pretty sure this is actually the first ERC 721 full bridge that we've seen exist. And also, anybody wants to play this, if you're a realm lord, you can come and start joining the alpha and start framing the game whatever way you like. So first step is bridging a realm. So you can bridge a realm, and it appears here. It takes about 10 minutes, so I'm not going to do one right now. That's just the limitations right now of L1 to L2s. But then once you've bridged your realm, you can go to your empire. I'll swap back to, this is the kind of the whole UX of layer 1, layer 2. It's kind of a very new thing. And so, you know, I think every developer right now is exploring the best way to tackle it. So we've just tackled it this way, and there's some little weird bugs, but it is what it is. So once you're on Arbitrum and you've got your realms, you can go here. You can see your bridge realms, which are, you know, this is what a realm looks like. They got varying rarity. They got different resources on them. You can settle them, and once you've settled one, you come here. And this is what your settled realm looks like. Now, I think there's probably some Civ fans out here. And probably the closest analogy to the game that we're building is Civilization. Because it's not, you know, it's not a mass click type game. It's more of an economic strategy game. So once you've staked your realm, you'll start generating resources according to, you know, what you have. And you can see here, I've got 14 days of full resources available. And so when I harvest this, it'll harvest 14 times this. And then it'll appear in my Iron Bank, which is this. And so I'm actually quite rich in resources because I'm the developer in Rinkeby Resources. But anyway, and then with these resources, you can go to the marketplace. And so this is actually in AMM. So it's actually designed by the OX sequence guys. It's called Nifty Swap. And so we're utilizing it for our backend. And this allows you to trade your resources in an AMM style trade up to 22 resources at a time. See, I got no liquidity in this pool, but so you can trade your resources. You can also provide liquidity and start earning fees on the resources that you provide. And then with these resources, you can build up your buildings. So you can see the cost here. You see it affects your statistics. And then once you've done that, you see how I've got my military and my defense and offense. Well, I've been attacked 66 times. I've attacked 66 people with this realm. Then you can go to settled realms. And you can see here, this is all the current settled realms. So this is all our alpha players that are currently giving feedback, giving feature requests about what they want to see in the game. And so it's really been great to just build this in the open and have 20, 25 people all contribute and find bugs and help really shape this game, because what we're building is an open source game. So yeah, maybe I'll go try and raid some Dragonhide. Dragonhide's the rarest resource. Oh. All right, who's got a lot of stuff?
I forget, Lord, is there a demon resource in there somewhere?
There isn't a demon resource, but currently. Yeah, Dragonhide's the rarest. But
as the most powerful item in the loot verse, the demon stuff, I wonder if we're going to one day wake up and discover the demons have been hiding under the realm somewhere.
Yeah, well, I'll explain what we're thinking, and what's shaping up just after I've done this. So this is really the raid function. There's obviously still a lot of work to do, and we're kind of pushing the boundaries of Web3 and kind of JS kind of here. Because there's a lot of requests to the blockchain and not everything's on the graph right now, so it's just a little slower than I'd like. So you see, I got an 8% chance of a success, so I'm probably going to fail this because he's really built up his defense. Oh. Ooh. All right, well, I won that. I think that was a little bug. But anyway, this is what happens when you raid. And you can see this is what I pillaged from his vault, 25% of his entire vault. So then with those resources, I can go and trade them on the market. And I can trade them back for ETH if I like. But what we're really doing here is we're creating, just like what Loot did with the primitives of the loot bags. These resources are, just another layer of primitives, which will allow anybody to kind of consume them in other contracts to output something, that's relevant to the loot verse. So, for example, Genesis has got A-Time. A-Time's an ERC20. These are 1155 tokens. Everything's on chain. Someone could write a contract that takes, and we don't even have to know who this person is. Someone could take A-Time. Someone could take Dragonhide, Alchemical Silver, Jurice, and it outputs some special NFT, which then can be used in another game. And so what we're really doing here is really just building the framework to allow the expansion of the lootverse even further. And, I'm this is our 1155s, but I'm imagining there's going to be a bunch of other games that are going to bring out their own 1155s as well. And because everything's interoperable with one another, then it really allows this composability across contracts, across projects, and we can just keep building out this universe bigger and bigger, and more and more players. So this is really, this is where we're at right now, and this is like 6 weeks of work, and we're in the alpha stage, and this is alpha software. A lot of things are going to change. We're experimenting with a lot of indexing. And experimenting with UI and UX and whatnot. So if anyone's a dev, this takes a fancy, come and drop in, and you can just pull the repo and start experimenting and start playing around. And if you have a good feature, you can insert it and we'll merge it. So yeah, I think that's really where we're at right now. And if I just really suggest everybody just jump into the Realms Discord and to see what's going on there, because there's a really interesting narrative being formed around all the orders, around all the units to be used, and just the stories being written right now. So it's an exciting time.
Yeah, Lord, can you build on that? I was going to ask you that question. And I think in general, this is a question that I and Andrew will ask all builders, including ourselves. Can you talk to us about the ties between this and the universal constructs and sort of foundational truths that are in the OG loot contract?
Yeah, good question. So we've really tried to pull as much of the lore from the original loot contract as possible into this game. And so you can see here the orders. These are all the same as what's in the original loot bag. Obviously the resources are kind of their new type of primitive because they weren't in the contract. But what we're going to be doing in the future, we're going to build some war type contracts where orders can fight one another. So the Order of Anger, for example, will be able to sign a transaction being, I want to attack the Order of Detection. And so a 24-hour timer will begin, and the Order of Anger, other people in the Order of Anger can pile into the Order of Anger side, and other people, Order of Detection, can pile in. And this war can happen over a period of 24 hours. And if that, and the winning side, according to some metric, will then be rewarded the resources that the other side has committed to the war. And then there's the other layer on top of that, which is the light and the dark, which is something that is really just emerged in the last week, which will also build into this, into the gameplay. Haven't quite figured out the exact way to do it, but we will. And then, the other interesting things is what Tim was saying about the demon hide. There's a future that exists where someone can come along and write a contract that consumes the resources that outputs perhaps a demon hide resource, for example, and that's the only way to get demon hide, and then that can be incorporated back into this game. And so we see a future where there's lots of builders and contract writers just building on top of this and building on top of other things in the lootverse, and they're all composed together.
Really cool. So as a theme, I guess, that carries through in some ways, your answer to my question was like, we've got the beginnings and the seeds, but if you believe it, go build it. If you want to go build lore from the contract into this universe, do a PR, go build it.
Yeah, exactly. Like lore, code is law. Whatever you can do. You don't have to ask anybody's permission these days. Well, anymore. Just build it.
Amazing. I feel like that's a theme that's going to tie us through to the future. And in some ways, it's almost a theme that's tickling my brain. I even just tweeted, like, I really believe in 10 years, there'll be a generation of builders who say, I started with loot. I'm working on anything now. Art. I'm working on stories. I'm working on a wallet app. I'm working on decentralized finance. I'm working on, I don't know what, a direct-to-consumer something company. But I started with loot. And I feel like people who are learning through loot today and seeing this future are jamming on the exact vibe you just said, that if you believe it, you can build it.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah, that's what we've all done. We've seen it, now we've built it.
Code is lore. I don't know if you have a Twitter, but I think you probably need to tweet that out there. I wonder if those 10 characters have ever been put together on Google before.
I did tweet it the other day, so it's out there.
Nice.
Yeah, but I think it's the same, right? It's and you can't change the contract, so that is what it is. Set in the block forever. That is the law.
Amazing. Does anyone have any questions, comments, thoughts? I think BK might have wanted to hop in.
About the actual game.
Yeah.
First of all,
questions, comments for Lord.
Yeah. First of all, the resources that you extract from the realms, are you going to build bridges to allow them to be transferred to other chains, or do you think they should remain in the Arbitrum chain?
Yeah, I think they'll definitely be in the future. And I don't. There's not. I mean, are there L2 to L2 bridges currently? I don't think they really exist, but I think the ecosystem
There's a few around. Especially especially Arbitrum is like very strong in that regard. They want a lot of people to come in with their assets, and so that there are plenty of bridges coming up.
Yeah, I think that's on the roadmap for sure. Wherever the game's happening, they'll be able to be used.
Also, in terms of the actions that I can take as a realm owner, Oh, it's something like that. Suppose I raid someone. What would be the cost of raiding someone else?
Sorry, I totally just cut out then. What was the? There's a question.
What will be the cost? What will be the cost
to raid someone?
Yes.
Not like it's hard to totally gauge that cost, but it's probably it's gonna cost less than an ERC 20 transfer on Arbitrum currently.
No,
I'm
not talking specifically about gas.
Are you talking about in like terms of resource cost?
Well, yeah. Assuming I go to war against a realm, it should cost me something because if I lose nothing.
Yeah. So good idea. Good question. So you have to build units. So you build military, and we started with just 4 as kind of a prototyping amount, but there's going to be more units, and so these units offer different offense and defense and probably more statistics in the short term. And these get when you attack someone, your offense and defense statistics get summed up, and it calculates an outcome. And if you win, you get a percentage of their vault, and if you lose, you'll lose some of your units. And so your units are basically the proxy for the resources, right? So they cost you resources, and the resources cost you time because they take time to generate. And so currently it's a very simplistic rating mechanism we have right now, but we're going to get this a lot more complex. And there'll probably be tiered structures of how successful your raid is. So if your raid is like as successful as it can be, you'll probably destroy some of their buildings, and you'll pillage their resources. But if it's only just successful, you might lose 1 unit, but you might raid 10% of the resources. So it's going to be like a band of chance when the game develops.
This actually reminds me more. This game reminds me more of games like the O game, and that's like Civilization. I don't know if you're aware of that game, the O game.
Which game?
Game. O game.
O game.
O game.
I haven't played it.
Yeah, pop it into the general chat, Quill. That sounds cool.
It's like a space game. It's pretty much the same idea. One thought is if you successfully defend an attacking raid, you get anything?
Yeah, so we've currently got it that you basically steal some of their units that they've attacked you with. So the one thing actually I just forgot to mention was there's 2 types of there's 2 vaults that generate when you staked. So there's the day vault, which after 1 day you get 1 day of resources, so you get 1 times your resource amount. And then there's the vault, and so the vault generates at the same speed, so it ticks over once a day, but you can't actually access it until 14 days, and so it's basically a target for raiders. And so if it gets to 14 days, that's great, and you can then you can claim it all. So you can claim all 14 days. But if it never gets to 14 days because you kept getting raided, then you'll never be able to claim it. And so the idea is that you have to spend your resources in order to build up your military and build up your castles, to build up your defense, which then stops the chance of you being raided. So obviously, if you got Dragonhide, you're going to get raided a lot because there's not much Dragonhide to go around. And so it kind of balances the game that way and kind of spreads out the rare resources, and forces the people that have the good realms, because they are more valuable, that they have to spend their resources to build up their realms. So that's kind of the mechanic that encourages the game to gameplay and pushes people to raid. Is that there's this golden bucket of resources that you can get if someone has decided to someone has decided not to build up their realm. Yeah. So
super cool stuff. Other questions, comments for Lord and the crew? Lord, thanks for putting yourself out here.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Look, as I said a few times, this game is in open development. any game devs or just devs in general that like Civ or like these type of games, just jump in and just get the chat going. Might be able to contribute something very valuable.
I've got a question. Is this game just available to OG holders, or are there any derivatives that can be played?
So you have to hold a realm. So realms are a derivative of loot. You don't have to hold loot. You just have to hold a realm. Yeah.
Okay.
Here, I'll actually share my screen here. I'll take over screen share and answer that question at the same time. Share. So here's realms on OpenSea. Your floor is what, about 0.1 ETH right now? And I think there's some trading, and there's all sorts of ways to cross this with resources and wonders and cities and harbors, and I'm sure there's some rarity analysis and more that can be done here. But the short answer to that question a second ago from, who is that, Ziru, is that the way that you play the Realms game is by owning a realm, and here they are right here.
Yeah, so the cities, harbors, and rivers, they do play a factor in your realm. They're actually the constraint of what buildings you can build up on them. And so castles, for example, are constrained by how many regions you have. So if you have 7 regions, you can build 7 castles, which means that your realm is very difficult to be attacked. So that's another rarity factor to take into account. But yeah, I mean, there's all the good ones are being snapped up. All the rare ones and all the ones with cities and max regions are being snapped up.
Hey, they're all good. Don't undersell yourself.
Oh, they are good, but
and they're as good as you make them. I'm not sure you've talked about this that much, but somebody asked in the general chat, what if you staked loot and M-loot and Genesis loot into your realm to make it more powerful, higher strength, higher offense, higher defense, something? I mean, talk about that. I could take, this is mine here, I could take this realm, and even though it may not be naturally that powerful, maybe there's ways I can stake things into it to increase its power, strength, abilities, defense, etc.
Yeah, so that's the medium-term plan. We're just working on getting the base game functioning as expected, and the goal is to be able to incorporate M-loot GAs and OG loot bags, and you'll be able to stake them on a realm, and they become your protectors, or they become the protector of the realm, and their statistics, which is really yet to be defined, will add to your offense and defense statistics. And so, if you stake in a max GA, it's going to be very difficult for that realm to be attacked. Or a very good OG loot bag, it's going to be very difficult. But this, the statistics of the items is really just being discovered. So that's still yet to be defined and put on chain, like the offense, defense, magic stats of these items. What do we got? We got greatness and like 1 to 5 currently, but we need to translate that into maybe a bit more, I guess, a bit more high fidelity type statistics, if you know what I mean. Like more. I think
you're actually handing the baton to me for this next part of the chat too, because when you talk about greatness, greatness and item rankings of 1 to 5, and what the meaning of those are. That's exactly what I think the community wanted us to talk about next. So maybe that's a perfect transition point. I also want to give a shout out to your idea, or maybe it's a group idea that's speaking through you, but an idea that says, now that we have more universal truths discovered, now that we have more of these rankings, 1 through 5 and the greatness scores and the rest, we should build some sort of ability score V2 that's more derived from the true contract and more universally accepted and more universally usable and composable. And I know you put yourself out there to say, hey, let's work on that together. I don't know if you want to make a couple comments on that, then I can dive into this.
Yeah, this has been bouncing around in our heads for a while, and Redbeard has been, Redbeard and I have been, jamming on it as well. It's, now that we've discovered the greatness and the, 1 to 5, what are we calling that? The
rankings, item rankings.
Item rankings, item powers. Now we can write a read-only contract that takes looks at the main loot contract and defines a ranking, like maybe agility, attack, or any type of those type statistics, and base it out of the main loot contract. And then we can define this read-only contract. We can define those statistics in this, and then any game can then pull that contract and use it if they like. And if somebody doesn't agree with that, they could fork that contract and do their own iteration on it. So that's kind of in the works. I just haven't had time to tackle it. But if anyone wants to tackle that or start building it, it's going to be a very valuable kind of contract in the expanded loot universe.
Sweet, thank you for that. Maybe save that for the next discussion. I think there's plenty to discuss on the next call. We plan to do this weekly. We'll try to keep it to an hour, but now that he's handed me the microphone back, I don't know if I can do just 14 minutes, but I'll do my best. This is a perfect transition point. So if you're coming in fresh and you're like, but this sounds amazing, I love the energy, but what are you guys talking about? Item rankings, lore derived from the contract, foundational truths, universal constructs. Like, you guys are too deep. Let me get you deep with us here. So if you missed the last call, or if the last call stuck but didn't 100% land, and actually there's been some discoveries since then, hopefully this next little bit here is going to be pretty eye-opening. The next little bit is lore derived from, discovered from the contract, and sort of universally discovered, named, massaged, and accepted, for lack of a better word, by the community, with the community. And so I'm really excited to share this. I put some more visuals behind it that I think makes it a lot clearer than it was last time. What you're looking at on the left is the loot contract. This is what we've been playing with and trading on, and there's been 70,000 ETH of trading against this contract in the past 2 months here. This is the contract right here, and the coup de grace of this entire contract is this section from row 1291 or 1293 through to the end of these words, down to this section here that defines the exact sort of randomizer algorithm through line 1521. Has the entirety of everything that has inspired us right here, and I wanted to just give a little bit of structure to it. That what we, or at least I, thought was random. Dom, you were just on it, and you just wrote a bunch of words, and you put them in, and man, these are all good words. You look at them together: divine robe, demon husk, plate mail, studded armor, great, grave wand, katana, club, warhammer. I think we all thought these are just a bunch of words randomized. But the original seed crystal, for me at least, was where there is randomness, there was once order. And the 16 orders, which are these 16 orders, implied the existence of the original Genesis adventures, which I'm not going to get into today, but it implied mathematically the existence of 2,540 Genesis beings in this universe. Maybe I'm crazy, but from these 4 lines, or whatever, 16 lines, 1419 to 1434, through a bunch of math and pivot tables and creative lightning that struck me, the existence of 2,540 Genesis adventures made themselves clear to me. And that then birthed the whole Genesis project and the Genesis adventure game that we're all been playing. And if that's all fresh to you, come join us in the Discord and come play along and you can learn. But that's not what I wanted to share today. What I wanted to share today is that was the first discovery. We discovered so much more. And the thing we discovered is that from this contract, if you just overlay what I'm about to share here, you can never see it differently again. So once I share this, it's in your head and you can't unsee it. This exact section, so let's go to the chest part. Chest, divine robe, silk robe, linen robe, robe, shirt, demon, dragon, studded. When you break it out like I've done on the right here, maybe I'll make this a little bit bigger. When you break it out this way, it's clear that this is the structure. There's 5 light cloth items, and then 5 medium hide leather items, and then 5 heavy metal items. And clearly, just from the English language, they're ranked in the order of 1 to 5 every single time. A divine robe is better than a silk robe, is better than a linen robe. No offense to the Lord of Linen. Is better than a robe, is better than a shirt. A holy chest plate is better than an ornate chest plate, and plate is better than chain, is better than ring. You can even Google for it, and even Google will tell you, yep, plate is greater than chain, it's greater than ring. Same thing that applies to every category. So go down to heads even. Here's heads. Ancient helms, ornate helms, great helms, full helms, helms. It's not that a helm is better than a dragon crown. It's that a demon crown is better than a dragon crown, is better than a war cap. A demon crown is equal to an ancient helm, but a demon crown is the best medium hide head item. An ancient helm is the best heavy metal warrior head item. The crown, the divine hood, the silk hood, linen hood, all fit the same construct here, like the light items. Waist, same thing, ornate. You can see the pattern emerging. Clearly, Dom had an order, and I guess I don't think Dom's on here again today, but clearly there was a purpose and an order and a structure here. And part of the game, I think, was just us discovering it and us deriving it. So from the left to the right, there's now a fundamental discovery in terms of the order and structure and meaning of this contract. There's warriors, there's hunters, there's mages. Warriors carry heavy metal items. Hunters carry medium hide items. Mages carry light and cloth items, plus the weapons. And everybody carries jewelry. Everybody can share in the necklaces. Everybody shares in the rings. And they're also in order. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The weapons are a little bit different. I think I had weapons in here. Or maybe they didn't make it into this one. The weapons break out in kind of a cool way. I think I had that here. Yeah, here's the weapons. Weapons, same thing though. Heavy bludgeons for the warriors in the right order. A warhammer is better than a quarterstaff, is better than a maul, is better than a mace, is better than a club. The medium blades are for hunters, and then the mages actually have 2 types of weapons. They've got wands and they have books. And the wands, as evidenced by the ghosts and the graves and the bones, are attuned to dark magic. The books, as the inverse of the wands, are attuned to light magic. A grimoire is better than a chronicle, is better than a tome, is better than a book. No offense to books. I love books. I'm in a room full of books right now. But if you handed me a grimoire or a book, I think I'd take the grimoire. So this is where I want to start. This is like extremely geeky, but it's right inside the contract. And like I've said a number of times, lore that's derived from the contract, as opposed to just made up lore is really fun too. But lore derived from the contract, like even Zoik said, it's constraint, it's art, it's story, it's instant canon. It's the canonical lore that we as builders and writers and artists and others, I believe if we tie to the canonical lore, the 3 characters I just discussed, the order of the items, the concept of hide versus metal versus cloth, the concept of a crown being the best mage head, the concept of divine robes being the best item for a mage, et cetera, that if we can get those seeds and constraints collectively from the contract, not from our brains, but from the contract, to again, like hint at the stories, those constraints unlock creativity, and those constraints, to me, set the stage for this infinitely expandable but still cohesive lootverse. And to me, that's what's so exciting about this very geeky, very detailed, very micro discovery, is that from the micro discovery, we can build a macro universe. There's a lot in here. I guess I can just reshare this to the chat here. This has been shared a couple times, but it's getting better and better with edits and community involvement and the rest. But this now has even a TLDR. Here's the TLDR of all the derived lore so far. I'm going to pop this into the chat too. There are 3 character classes of adventurers: hunters, warriors, and mages. These adventurers have existed over 4 generations. The original 2540 Genesis loot bags carried by Genesis adventurers, the 8,000 OG loot bags, which came later, the 1.3 million more loot bags, which also came later, and then eventually the 2 to the 256 power synthetic loot bags that are strewn across the cosmos of Ethereum. But that also suggests a timeline, and that timeline is also linked in this document. These characters align with 16 orders. These are the 16 orders we discussed before. The items in the loot bags have a defined set of rankings, like from most powerful to least powerful. Some are about dexterity, some are about strength, some are about defense. I mean, there's plenty of different types of powers, but clearly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the right order. Some of them are 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 3 types of armor: cloth, hide, metal. 3 weights: light, medium, heavy. for weapons that fit into these categories. There's some sort of attunement to magic. Light and dark magic starts with the wands and the books. Beyond mage weapons, I think we don't know what the attunements are, and we can figure them out or come up with them or invent them as a community. And also, from the contract, there's a seed crystal that says, hey, this land was once ruled by dragons and demons. In every category, these hunters have demon boots, dragon boots, demon gloves, dragon gloves, demon belts, dragon belts. And given the order, demons are actually stronger than dragons. Demons attuned to dark magic, dragons attuned to light magic. What we do with that, I don't know. What stories that tells us, I don't know. But I know that that's right there in our face in the contract, and that the stories and the games and the derivatives and the projects that respect that canonical lore, I think will end up being more fun to play, more integrated to the loot verse. But it doesn't have to be. And I wanted to make that call out too. Everyone's free to do anything you want. Like, it doesn't have to be stuck here. I said this to somebody earlier, but if loot is the Star Wars for the next generation, and I said to somebody, hey, let's come up with a Star Wars sequel, let's brainstorm it. And in our brainstorm, we said, I think that Darth Vader should be a unicorn, and instead of having dark versus light force, we should have chocolate and vanilla force. Like, I could make that movie, and it might be funny, and it might be well received, and anybody can make that movie. But if you build a Star Wars movie that has the light and the dark, the Rebel Alliance and the Empire, the Darth Vader construct, the Jedi construct, even if it only nods back to that and it jumps 10,000 years into the future like Foundation, if it at least acknowledges a cohesive universe, in general, I think it will be more accepted, more successful, and easier to build a web and bridges between all of our projects. So again, everyone's free to do anything you want. I'm not here to tell anyone anything other than just my excitement and energy around this community. But I do believe this, that the more our projects weave together with each other, the more exciting this universe will become. And I don't think that's too crazy of a notion. So I wanted to share this, and then I want to also apply this. So if there's any questions on that, also pop it into chat. But I wanted to apply this real quick. So the couple things I did here. The first thing I did is it struck me. I said, okay, for some of the really cool bags, like bag numero uno, bag 1 here, Dom's bag, how does it fit across this construct? Like, how powerful is this bag? And is it a hunter, a mage, warrior? How does it fit across all of them? And so loot swag is my favorite way to look at this. You can type in bag number 1. I want to look at loot bag number 1, and here he or she is. You can see the power. The items actually aren't that powerful, and it's mostly hunter items with a mix of mage and warrior items, but obviously really incredibly cool because it's bag number 1. You can do the same thing with a GA. Like, let's look at GA number 1. GA number 1 here. Also not a very powerful set of items. This one's more mage with some hunters and warrior items. It's a GA of brilliance. You can do this in a few ways. Another good example, I want to pull up some iconic Genesis Adventure bags. Like, this is a good one. This is the Zoink bag that's got it's the Giant of Giants. It's the Genesis Adventure of Giants. With the first time anyone did a +8 Genesis Adventure. So let's take number 74. Anyone could do this, lootswag.io. You can go look at your own bag. Same thing. Okay, this is a really powerful necklace and head, less powerful other items. It's mostly a mage. So this is obviously really exciting to me. The thing that, as a data geek, I wanted to figure out, and this is the first time sharing this, the thing I wanted to figure out is, are there full bags of just hunter items? Essentially a full character, like a full hunter, a full warrior, a full mage. Does that exist even? 8,000 bags, a lot of randomness. You're looking at 6 items that all fit the same category. The chances, 1 in 3 times 6 different slots to get them all exactly the same, pretty low chances. So I wasn't really sure. Instead of deriving the math, I just looked at the data. And the data turned out that there are some. Where are they? They're here. There are actually exactly 27. So there's 27 OG bags that are full mage or full hunter or full warrior. And I don't know, I'm just geeky about this, so maybe these won't be perceived as that valuable, or maybe you guys are like, dude, you're too deep. But to me, these are really exciting to see. Let's just take one. This is a random bag, 5241. Pop it into loot swag. Oh, there it goes. 5241. It's a full mage. It's a full mage with a variety of powers inside of it, but this is a full mage. Inside the OG bags, again, there are only, what did I just say, 27? Yeah, there are only 27 of them. As you can imagine, I did go through all of these to see if any of them were for sale. There's actually one for sale for less than 10 ETH right now. If anybody wants that, you can DM me on the side. It's not mine. I don't own it. I wasn't sure I could stomach buying yet another loot bag, but it's exciting to see this. The other thing I wanted to do is this question. So that was the are there any full character bags? I want to say across M-Loot, which I think people have kind of overlooked M-Loot. Across M-Loot, how many full mages, full hunters, full warriors exist? And the answer was actually really exciting to me. Let me pull up the character page here. So some facts, some stats. Across M-Loot, across the first 1.3 million bags, there are 5,400 full character bags. So I don't know if it's the mathematical derivation, but just the outcome here is that 0.4% of M-Loot bags end up being a, quote, full character bag, full of warrior items, full of hunter items, full of mage items. If you're on this call, I guess I will share it with you first. I'll find that link and I'll pop it into chat. Most of these are unminted. I have gone in and I've minted a bunch of them because I got all excited about this and probably spent way too much money on gas fees on M-Loot. But there's a ton that are unminted. I mean, even of the mages, there's other cuts you can do of the data. Like, of the 2,400 full mage bags out of 1.3 million, 400 are divine robe mages. For example, that's these ones, divine robe mages. I mean, I can throw in just a snap into the chat here. Actually, I guess I won't do that. I'm gonna share the whole document with you guys. But these M-Loot bags are mostly unminted. They're divine robes, full mages. You can cut even further. How many of those divine robe mages had the crown, which would make them the king and the queen mages? And there's 80. And actually, even of those 80, there's 25 that are still unminted. So I just love this idea of creating constraint, discovering constraint, finding constraint in this contract, and having that constraint tell us, look, yeah, there's a desolate realm scattered with 1.3 million M-Loot bags buried underneath generations of chaos and wars and civilizations that rose and fell. And most of these are unminted. I think that we've minted 130,000 of 1.3 million, but somewhere in that rubble are 5,400 full character bags. And to me, as a community, those seem pretty special, seem like ones that it's almost our responsibility to go excavate from the earth for the games ahead. I'll mute Herrera there, sorry. Somebody's got it. The last thing I was going to throw at you here is that the last question I wanted to ask was, if we're talking about item rankings, and we know now that there are clear item rankings. The bright silk sash is number one. The demon hide belt is number one. The ornate belt is number one. The pendant's number one. The gold ring is number one, et cetera, et cetera. I want to say, how many bags exist with only number one items? And the answer in OG loot, as you can probably guess, was a big fat 0. There are no OG bags that have 11111 all the way up to 8 items. But inside of M-Loot, there actually were 9. These were the 9 here. 9 M-Loot bags. I just want to show you one of them because it's really cool to see this. So M-Loot bag popped into Loot Swag, and here she is. She's not just Hunter, Mage, Warrior. This one's a mix of multiple items, but the purple here tells you every item here is a number one item. The Divine Robe is the best. The Demon Hide Boots are the best. The Divine Gloves are the best. The Ancient Helms are the best. Just super cool to see that. Again, I'm in mega geek mode here. But saw these, and some were minted, some were unminted. I minted some. And just the fact there's 9 out of 1.3 million is really fun math to me. There will be more, too. More loot expands and expands and expands over time. I don't know how many more years it's going to take to find some perfect bags. Actually, somebody could probably derive that, like which Ethereum block ID it's going to take for the next perfect bag to show up. I don't think I have those math skills, but that would be a fun math experiment. But the other thing I'll gift everybody here is that if you take away the jewelry, because I think the jewelry cuts across all classes, and it's less like utility. At least we don't know what the utility is yet. And if you only look at the chest, head, foot, hand, head, core 6 items, there are a good number of bags, not a ton, but 95 bags in mLoot that are perfect ones plus jewelry. And so I'll share this list as well. Kind of cool to see this. Maybe I'll just even pop this one into here because these feel like pretty cool special bags.
Tim, I think is the one you shared, is that the mLoot? Yeah, I think that's the Herald's, right? Or mine?
I don't know.
I think it is.
Sweet.
Maybe I can just plug that.
Yeah, go for it.
Guys, the other day when Tim Shaw was deep in this stuff, he sent me a DM that was just that bag number, and I didn't really know what I was getting into. But I went to the mLoot page and I minted that, and I used, there's the Herald right there. So I used, the Herald has a very small treasury from a fundraiser we did last month. So I used the Herald to mint that bag for the newsletter. And so if you read last week's or the other day's newsletter, I kind of introduced kind of what happened and how I got this bag. And then I introduced this idea that it's like the newsletter owned or subscriber owned bag. And so the idea is to, involve all the Loot Herald subscribers in ownership of this bag, in telling stories about this bag or using this bag in games. So the first thing we did, was, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You got it.
The first thing I did was put a Google form out there asking people to submit names for the character. And so far I have 4 responses. So I'll just read those right now because it's fun. Betty's the first one. Almighty Mage of Gas Warriors. Zopil, XOPIL. I like that one. And Maliki, MALEKI. So I don't know. I didn't really put a end time on this. So if anyone on this call wants to throw a name in the ring.
+1 for Malachi. I like that. That throws back to some Kurt Vonnegut roots. Malachi Constant.
I'm kind of leaning towards that one. But if anyone on this call wants to submit, I'll post the newsletter, or I'll post the link to the Google form. And I would love to get some more responses in there.
I love that this was your reflex, man. I told you this is one of the 9 best mLoot bags that I think exist. And without even missing a beat, boom, popped it right into the community wallet.
Tim,
for you.
The other reason I didn't share is I didn't have enough ETH in my main wallet.
To cover the gas. Yeah, well, the gas is crazy.
But I guess I can just plug this here too. You see, I got Loot Gallery and I minted the meetup poster. I have had this idea of like collecting some of this, collecting some like milestone moments, loot wide, and sort of creating like a collection or a gallery of those kind of artifacts of loot. And so that's why you see some of that stuff in there and in that wallet. I don't know. I haven't thought too much about it, but that's kind of the start of some sort of loot collection.
Nice. Really fun. I love that you did this. Okay, that was the main thing I wanted to share today. Hopefully that opened everybody's eyes to some of the craziness of like the contract data discussion we've had, really translating that all the way back to like how to make sense of that back in the contract if you look at the contract again. Plus how it's, in my mind, sort of unmissable once you see it. But then also how it translates over. So today it's translating to Loot Swag, but I cannot wait until it translates to Hyperloot, until it translates to Loot Explorers. I don't know if that crew is on the call here. Loot Swag V2, these guys have some incredible work they're doing around layers and community involvement. And maybe I can show mine and just show a little snapshot if you haven't seen this. This is a really cool user experience. So you can go through, you can find your bag. So here's like a perfect mage. You can start by just choosing your character. You can change your gender even. I'm sure this will get more diverse over time as well, Tony, if you're on. But then today, you only have like the one view of your divine robe or the one view of your divine slippers. But eventually this will be a community open project. You would have all sorts of different types of views of all your different items. You can't change the item, but you can change what it looks like. And to me, that is such a cool metaphor for just the entirety of the loot vibe right now. I know I got to run back to real life in a few minutes. George or Andrew or Conway, if you're on here still, anybody else? Yeah.
If anyone, just want to chat and geek out a little bit.
The last thing I was going to try to end with, though, actually, I want to do one quick plug. Sorry, I actually do want to talk about this. So we launched V2 of the website, 3 weeks ago or something, and did that as a community, as a group, as this sort of unofficial loot alliance that you guys probably all hopefully read that post on. But now that we're seeing like requests for adding to the website and more PRs and ideas and community involvement, it's amazing. I threw out a guiding principles and North Star document for the loot website into Loot Talk. Hoping for some feedback, hoping for some edits, some advice on this. It's got like the core guiding principles. What is the North Star? What are the guiding principles? What are our goals? And what are some of the design principles? Hey guys. Yeah, change out of your school clothes. Give me like 2 minutes and I'll change with you. Real life comes back. Not only are we geeks, we're also parents, and we have our own real lives and our own real jobs. But I want to share this and just get some feedback. So pop into Loot Talk. Respond here if you'd like to, or respond in the general channel or elsewhere. What I want to do with this is once we get a bunch of feedback, turn this into a snapshot vote and have everybody essentially bless it to say, yep, this is our website as a community. We agree with these guiding principles. We agree with these goals. This is where the Loot Project website should go and how we should think about it. And so this is ours to bless and ours to design. And the Loot Project website, well, it's only one site. It is kind of the front end intro to Loot and the unifying concept behind Loot today. And so let's build this together. I'm going to pop off. You guys run with it. And that was pretty fun. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim Shaw.
So my suggestion is to do an around the horn of stuff people are working on, just to do 2-minute quick fires of cool updates and previews and things. But yeah, take care, guys.
Yeah, good call. What's anybody want to go first? Did anyone play the character game? What was that, 2 nights ago?
No, I haven't played it yet, but I was going to do it today.
It was pretty fun. If you don't know what it was, Loot Character did their second riddle game on Monday night, and it was like a dungeon crawler, like Discord bot that they created. And so, in the general chat of Loot Character, you typed like !join, and then you got a message from a bot, a DM from a bot called the 8. I think the 8. And it turned into like kind of a text-based choose your own adventure, like dungeon crawler.
Cool.
With there's sort of 3 different routes you could take in the dungeon once you get into the dungeon, and the 3 different routes take you down. One is like the Hobbit, so it's like Hobbit based riddles. And then another one was based on The Road, Cormac McCarthy. And then the third one was Ray Bradbury, Something Wicked This Way Comes. So it was a lot of fun. On Monday, I'm in the Unknowable Guild, and in the guild chat, we were, I don't know, there were maybe like 8 or 10 of us in there, like playing this and chatting in real time and like giving each other clues and helping each other out. It was a lot of fun. So the game is over. I think there were 6 winners who won NFTs, and I think like $17,000 worth of A gold. I can't remember the exact amount.
Yeah, wow.
But you can still play it in there in the Discord. It's still open. So I would encourage you guys to go check that out for sure. Anyone else? Anyone have any Realms questions? Laura's still here. Newsletter questions?
I've got a quick question. This is going back to Realms. So I love doing these town halls. It's great to keep everybody kind of excited about it. So this is great. And the idea with the ability scores sounds awesome too. But my question is on the orders and alliances. And if you hit this, I apologize. I can take it, offline. I don't want to double up on it. But if you've got realms, I know that if there's one order can't siege or go to war against the same order. Is there anything else that's kind of tied into that? And that the reason is there any real value? Say somebody wants to be giants, right? That's the order that they like the best. Of like swapping with other people to swap out your orders and you swap and get the giant, so you can have all giants. Are you somehow benefited by that, or does it really not matter that much what the order is?
Look, I guess going for what I was saying before, it's being written now. What we come up with in this alpha. If someone comes up with a gameplay feature where we can incorporate the orders even more, then we'll build it in. I think from the how it currently stands, I mean, I guess if you have all the same order, you'll be able to join a war down the line with all your orders, so you'll be able to contribute more to a war. Yeah, look, it's still yet to be discovered exactly what other role it will play. But I mean, if you have any other ideas, we're all ears.
Oh yeah, definitely. I actually been thinking about that.
Great.
I didn't want to do anything, but I was thinking so if we, looking at the contract like we did, and we've got, if, community thinks it's a good idea, if they actually are segmented into those 4 different, good, evil, strength, cunning, like those 4 that it looks like the contract divides it, and those can be renamed or whatever. But if that's the case, I was thinking it could be cool if, an alliance, if you're within, if it's all like enlightenment and brilliance and perfection that are all in the good category, you can have an alliance that goes so big. But you can only go so big if you're combining with, strength or something. It's you can have kind of an alliance, but it can only go so far. So it would behoove one, if you wanted to collect a whole bunch of stuff that was kind of on the same similar. So if, hey, I really like giants, then I'm going to grab a bunch of titans. I'm going to grab a bunch of skill and power because it's all the same category. And then we can grow this really big army that can go and do stuff. So just a thought.
Yeah, I really do want to incorporate those 4 traits, into the contracts somehow. So that sounds an interesting idea. I think we just need to expand on it, and we'll see what we can build. But yeah, I mean, look, this. just keep thinking. Let's take this take this chat into the alpha chat, and just keep expanding it. Cool.
Conway, Alec, what are you guys working on? putting you on the spot.
I did have
What's
one
going on in
question.
the Vine City?
I had one question about realms. If you're thinking about doing kind of some staking for Genesis Adventures and kind of other attributes to